Alma, Mazabuka, Livingston, Chipata, Chinsali, Kasama, Mansa, Solwezi, and Mongo. Feel free to interact with us and let us know where you are watching from. Only on your Top Star Decoders Channel 91, Sun FM TV. Radio Gone Rogue. Radio Gone TV.
The 8th of May 2025, and of course we are back with Around the World News Update. Let's kickstart off things. We need people like Francis, and not just for the Romans. Catholics share expectations for new pontiff as Vatican holds last mass before conclave. Now, Catholics shared their expectations for the new Pope on Sunday as the Vatican held its last mass before the conclave. The Sacred Board of Cardinals to choose the next pontiff. Footage shows worshippers attending a mass at St. Peter's Basilica as Cardinal Dominic Mambetti led the event. They say we would like the new Pope to continue the work that Pope Francis has been doing. A devotee said, citing the late pontiff's advocacy for migrants. Someone who was almost more, or at least like Francis, a closeness to the people and not only to the Romans, another added. One of the more than 260 popes in the church's history, over 200 have been from Italy. Francis was the first from Argentina and the first from Global South, with other candidates from the Global South also believed to be in the running this time. Some worshippers expressed having favorites among the Papal cardinals eligible to become the next Penal Catholic said, referring to the cardinal from his own nation. We are obviously rooting for him. It's good to have a pope from Asian countries, he added. Cardinals will vote until a candidate secures a two-thirds majority. During each round of voting, ballots are placed in a furnace. Black smoke symbolizes a failed vote, while white means a new pope has been chosen. The Papal Conclave will be held at the Sistine Chapel from Wednesday, May 7th. Planes engulfed by flames as Israel launches massive strikes on Sana International Airport. Burning planes and blowing smoke were seen at Sana International Airport on Tuesday after Israel launched a wave of airstrikes on several targets in Yemen, including power stations and a cement factory. According to Houthi-affiliated media, Sana Airport Director Khalid Al-Saif stated that Israeli airstrikes completely destroyed 6 airplanes, 3 of which were owned by Yemenia Airways, in addition to damaging terminals with their equipment and destroying the supply building entirely. The initial losses at the airport are estimated at around $500 million, with the damage assessment still ongoing, he added. The Israeli military launched intensive airstrikes on several vital Yemeni facilities, including Sana International Airport, central power stations, and the Al Amran cement factory in retaliation for a missile launched by the Houthi group on May 4 near Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv. Media reports identified the missile launched from Yemen as a modern ballistic missile with advanced capabilities, including radar evasion and hypersonic speed. The Houthis had earlier announced the resumption of their attacks on Israeli ships in the Red Sea and targets in Tel Aviv in response to Israel's renewed military operations in Gaza Strip. Chenab River runs dry. India shuts down all gates at Saladam, restricts water flow in Risai district. Residents from the Risi district in Jammu and Kashmir support the Indian government's decision to close the gates of the dams, restricting the flow of water from the Chenab River into Pakistan. Footage taken on Tuesday shows the closure of Salau Dam, which is the last major dam before the river reaches Pakistan. Lower water levels and dried up riverbeds can be seen as the water flow is vastly reduced. Sometimes the water flow in Chinab River is high. These days, it is mostly low, making the river appear almost dry. This action is intended to send a strong message to Pakistan in response to its attack in Pahalgam, said a resident. You can see the current condition of the Chinab River. Sometimes it dries up and other times there is some flow. This is meant to send a clear message to Pakistan. It continues its inhuman action. River, Chinab and Jhelum River. Chinab and Jhelum rivers are two of the three western rivers allocated to Pakistan under the 1960 Indus Water Treaty, which prohibits altering the flow of water that may harm access to water. Tensions between India and Pakistan erupted after gunmen opened fire on crowds of tourists in Kashmir, killing at least 26 people and injuring 17 others in Pahalgam. Now, in response, India announced several measures against Pakistan, accusing the country of sponsoring cross-border terrorism. The measures include downgrading diplomatic ties, closing the Wagah-Attari border, and suspending the Indus Water Treaty. Pakistan's Defense Minister Khawaja Muhammad Asif denied any involvement in the attack, calling the incident homegrown. Islamabad also introduced retaliatory measures against the New Delhi. Efforts and heroism of Soviet people helped save Europe and all of humanity from Nazim Venezuela's Maduro during talks with Putin. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro praised the heroism of the Soviet people in the fight against Nazim, saying it helped save Europe and all of humanity at a meeting with Russian leader Vladimir Putin in Moscow on Wednesday. Thanks to the great victory of the Red Army 8 years, thanks to the efforts and the heroism of the Russian and Soviet people who sacrificed 27 million human lives, thanks to their political and military heroes, it was possible to save Europe and all of humanity, he said. Maduro also stressed that Caracas was ready to give a new impetus to relations with Moscow, adding that Venezuela wanted to make a leap towards comprehensive relations and cooperation in the spheres. Meanwhile, Putin noted that the relations between the countries were based on a treaty of strategic partnerships and emphasized it was a good foundation for cooperation. In fact, by working on this foundation, we achieve non-results. Of course, our trade turnover of $200 million is still far from satisfying us, but the trend is very good. Last year, the trade turnover increased by 64%. This is a good indicator. We have good, promising areas of cooperation. They are obvious, and our colleagues work in all these areas, he continued. Maduro flew from Moscow ahead of victory celebrations on May 9, which this year's mark 8 years since the end of World War II, also called the Great Patriotic War in Russia. Moscow hosts iconic victory parade on Friday, in addition to Russian military troops from 13 countries, including China, Vietnam, Laos, Egypt, Mongolia, Belarus, Azerbaijan, and Uzbekistan, will march through Red Square despite numerous calls from Kyiv and Western allies to cancel trips to Moscow. Around 30 leaders from the CIS, Europe, Latin America, Africa, and Asia, including Chinese President Xi Jinping, Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić, Milorad Dodik confirmed their visit. India-Pakistan tensions, serious concern, and we got a great trade deal with Delhi. PM Starmer calls backlash and Korean nonsense. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer praised his latest trade deal with India and condemned the large domestic backlash, while also saying the news of escalation with Pakistan was a serious concern as he took questions from lawmakers in the House of Commons in London on Wednesday. Rising tensions between India and Pakistan, other countries, he added, on Donald Trump's 100% tariffs on the films not made in the US and the impact on the British industry. Liberal Democratic leader Sir Eddie Davey asked if Starmer would make clear to President Trump that if he picks a fight with James Bond, Bridget Jones, and Paddington Bear, he will lose. Starmer responded he really should listen to the sectors that he thinks he's championing. They do not want us to abandon the work we are doing to try and get an agreement with America.
Rising tensions between India and Pakistan will be of serious concern for many across Britain. we are engaging urgently with both countries, as well as other international partners, encouraging dialogue, de-escalation and the protection of civilians. Mr. Speaker, the landmark deal we've secured with India is a huge win for working people in this country. After years of negotiation, this government has delivered in months, slashing tariffs, boosting wages, unleashing opportunities for UK businesses. It's the biggest trade deal the UK has delivered since we left the EU. Mr. Speaker, the number one job of this government was to put our finances back in order after the last government lost control. That is, and to deal with the £22 billion black hole that they left. Because of our action, we've stabilised the economy, we've invested record amounts in the NHS, with a payment out for 3 million lowest paid, and of course we're committed to the triple lock, which improved pensions by £470 last year. And Mr. Speaker, because of the work that we've done, we're a country that countries like India want to do deals with because of the messages and the work that we've done.
Mr. Speaker, the only black hole is the one the Prime Minister is digging. This issue affects some of the poorest and most vulnerable pensioners.
But every week, Mr. Speaker, she comes along to talk the country down, to cart from the sidelines. She can't even bring herself to celebrate the deal we've done with India. They took 8 years fiddling around and got absolutely nothing. We've delivered the best deal since we left the EU, the most ambitious deal for India, which has been measured in billions of pounds into our economy and thousands of jobs in the country. She should be welcoming that. We are backing British car companies like JLR, and our India trade deal will see tariffs slashed for car sales, and that is good for British jobs. And the criticism on the double taxation is incoherent nonsense. It's a benefit to working people. It's in the agreements that we've already got with 50 other countries. And if the member for Clacton or the Leader of the Opposition is seriously suggesting that they're going to tear up agreements with 50 other countries, create a massive hole in our economy, they should get up and they should say so.
Mr. Speaker, people also want a government that will stand up for our country against Donald Trump. Mr. Speaker, first he came for our steelworkers and our car makers with his outrageous tariffs. Now Donald Trump is coming for our world-leading British film industry. So will the Prime Minister work with our allies in Europe and in the Commonwealth and make clear to President Trump that if he picks a fight with James Bond, Bridget Jones and Paddington Bear, he will lose?
Mr. Speaker, he really should listen to the sectors that he thinks he's championing. They do not want us to abandon the work we're doing to try and get an agreement with America. They want that agreement to reduce tariffs. That's the sensible, pragmatic way to protect our national interest. Rising tensions between India and Pakistan will be of serious concern for many across Britain. We are engaging urgently with